Thank you so much for being with us. I'm Brian Allen. You may have heard the name Lifescape before, but you might not be familiar with their mission. It's an organization dedicated to empowering people to live their best lives. People like Ziamara, a young girl facing a challenging condition. But thanks to Lifescape, her family, and her indomitable spirit, she isn't letting it restrict her life.
Make a big deal to have a chair that you're able to get off-road again and have more clearance to get over some of those obstacles.
And Dylan Lesselyoung, who is able to take on South Dakota winners thanks to some South Dakota ingenuity. Lifescape's mission is an important one, but it takes a lot of resources. But there is an easy way that you can help. Give a gift to Lifescape with just a simple text. Pick up your phone and text the word Dakota to 50155. Or you can make a gift online at lifescapesd.org. We're about to meet some of the extraordinary children and adults that Lifescape has helped support. Any way you make your gift, your donation will be matched by one of Lifescape's partners. Our first segment, Salmon's Financial, will be matching your gifts. For 5 years, Lifescape has had a program called Pathways to Life. It provides guidance and training for teenagers wondering what their next step will be following high school. I met one terrific young man who says this program has been a true success for him.
Woo!
This is 20-year-old Jamie Fox, and what he has accomplished in 2 decades has outdone what the doctors told his mom, Jessica, when he was born.
We were told not to expect very much from him, that he wouldn't talk, probably wouldn't live on his own.
Jamie was born with autism and ADHD, and although the doctor said he wouldn't talk, he said his first words at 5 and has been talking ever since.
The tricky part is, no matter how many times you clean it, it always manages to get messy again. Sometimes I just wanted to stay clean.
When Jamie was getting ready to graduate high school, he didn't know what he would do. He was fortunate enough to find the Pathways to Life program at Lifescape. Special Education Director Tammy Haverly tells us that program fills in what can be a significant gap for some.
To really help them figure out where they're going to go in their life and to develop those skills to really be successful in whatever path they choose.
Jamie has learned custodial skills as part of Pathways. He says the work allows him time to think while working on something he can take pride in, making his corner of the world cleaner for others. When you ask him where he wants to work, he has an answer.
Usually I start at gas stations. Now I just want to work at a movie theater, and for a little hobby/job, I'm planning to do YouTube.
But this program also offers peace of mind on a topic that is tough to think about. But when you have a child who needs a little bit of help, it's something you always think about.
When you have a child that's diagnosed with a disability, you become very aware of your own mortality and that you aren't always going to be there for him. And it's been nice to see him grow independently so that I know if he has to be alone without me or without my husband, he's going to be okay.
And while Jamie has learned a lot through Pathways, program leaders say they have learned a lot about how to teach these skills because of Jamie's example. Part of the work done at Lifescape here in Sioux Falls involves helping kids with very medically complex conditions. We were able to meet a little 4-year-old named Ziamara who is dealing with a rare condition, but she has a lot of people who are working to help her out.
Is that funny?
It is a condition that is rare and can be tough to diagnose, but little 4-year-old Ziamara Genia is not one to let it diminish her life.
She's sassy. She is very strong-willed, and when she doesn't want to do something, she doesn't want to do it.
Erica Van Beek is a nurse at Lifescape. She works closely with Ziamara at Lifescape's Children's Specialty Hospital. Ziamara has been diagnosed with something called riboflavin transporter deficiency.
A lot of the nerves that are by her brainstem and spinal cord have either lost their function or they're damaged.
What this means is that Ziamara has extensive muscle weakness, primarily above her waist. It can be tough to breathe and to eat. She has a breathing tube to make that a little easier.
She puts them on a table.
Here at Lifescape, one of Ziamara's main focuses is physical therapy to improve her core strength and to use her arms and fingers to the greatest extent possible.
Thank you.
But along the way, Ziamara has also become amazingly adept at using her feet to get a hold of whatever it is she might want.
Go, Ziamara, go!
But a lot of the needs of these children are hard to be met at home.
Jennifer Hager is a Lifescape pediatrician. She says one of the big advantages of having a children's specialty hospital as part of their program is that kids can get better, but they're not separated from their families.
Their families can be here, they can be part of their care, they can visit them.
She's been doing a lot with her feet since she's gotten sick.
Thomasina Genia is Ziamara's mom and says after months of her daughter's illness being a mystery and a bit of an oddity, she is thankful that Lifescape knows what the issue is and knows what to do to help her daughter manage this illness the best way possible.
Just last week I came to visit and I actually started seeing her, sit up on her own and get up and move around.
Ziamara's breathing tube means she cannot talk, but she does have a device that she can use that gives her a voice. It's a box and she can tell it what to say to get her message across.
Bye, see you later.
As nurses like Erica do what they can to make her quality of life a lot better.
It's a progressive disease, so it will not get any better. At this point, we're just kind of managing it with meds to prevent it from getting worse.
And Ziamara's illness is truly a rare one. Only about 1 in a million people are diagnosed with it in the United States. You can help Ziamara and others like her with a simple text. Remember, Sammons Financial is matching your gifts right now. You can make a one-time gift or sign up to give monthly. Either way, your gift is doubled by Sammons Financial. Just text the word Dakota to 50155. Lifescape is involved in a unique partnership with engineering students at South Dakota State University. For about the last year, those students have been at work designing and then building a prototype power chair that can handle a lot of what Old Man Winter can throw our way. There's an old phrase that says necessity is the mother of invention. In this case, the necessity is making sure folks in wheelchairs can get through the occasional snow and ice that ends up here. The invention, that was left to a group of SDSU engineering students like Spencer Brandsrud.
3 or 4 months out of the year, depending on how much it snows, these people can be stuck within a 1-block radius of their houses.
Brandsrud and his fellow engineering students were tasked by Lifescape to design and build a kind of super power chair that could make its way through several inches of snow and ice with no problem. Arlen Clam is Lifescape's assistant technology coordinator.
During the wintertime, they have a very difficult time getting around.
So the SDSU students went to work. They got the project last January, worked on it until summer break, then picked right back where they left off when classes resumed. A normal power chair can do pretty good.
Okay, we can get through about 3 inches of snow. We can get up a hill with a little bit of snow on it, but any more than that, and that's all that it can handle.
They wanted to at least double that and design a chair that could make it through 6 inches of snow. That has been tried previously by different entities, and it just hasn't worked out.
But they've all been really large, something that would never fit on a sidewalk or even in an urban area.
So the new design had to be smaller, something that someone could actually use to get to and from their home through the snow of a South Dakota winter.
Intersections that maybe, where the snow is piled up from snowplows and things like that.
What the engineering students came up with is smaller and sleeker and stronger than previous designs. This is the only one in existence right now, but hopefully it's not the last.
It's make a big deal to have a chair that you're able to get off-road again and have more clearance to get over some of those obstacles.
Dylan Lessel-Young is confined to a wheelchair. He tells us an invention like this is a game changer for his quality of life and will allow him to be involved in more of his favorite activities more often.
I'm just getting back into outdoors and hunting myself, so that's been a big hurdle to come across.
Lifescape kicked in $3,000 to help cover the cost of supplies to build that new power chair. And you can help in the development of more devices like that one in the future with a donation just by texting the word Dakota to 50155. Still ahead on this Empowered by Lifescape special, we will learn how Lifescape plays an important role for many people going through intensive therapy, including one man working to maintain his ability to speak.
There's a gap that exists in regards to where they're at and where they need to be successful and hit that next placement or their next home.
Making the transition to adulthood can be formidable for anyone, but for some with unique conditions, it can be especially challenging. How Lifescape is easing that burden next. And welcome back to our Empowered by Lifescape special. A reminder, Lifescape sponsors have stepped up to match all donations during this special. This segment, First Premier and Premier Bank Card are matching your gifts. 100% of your donations stay local. 100% will benefit a child or adult supported by Lifescape. Just text the word Dakota to 50155. Whether you make a one-time donation or a monthly sustaining gift, First Premier will match it. Lifescape recently opened a facility that is truly unique to South Dakota. It is being used to help adults at a critical time in their lives. Vanessa Gomez takes you inside the Continuum home to show you the services offered.
It's a new chapter for Christian Green.
Oh, yeah. Best throw yet. I just want him to be happy. I want him to gain the confidence.
Christian's mom, Carrie, is a little nervous about this next step in his life because he's in a new situation.
You know, he's getting out of that facility, I guess, type of a setting, and this will really give him the chance to now be a part of the community, learn those independent living skills.
Christian has been at Lifescape's children's facility since he was 17. 4 years later, he graduated from the Lifescape Specialty School, but still needed more help before moving into adult housing.
This is my room. There's a gap that exists in regards to where they're at and where they need to be successful and hit that next placement or their next home. And so when we talk about that gap, I think every parent has a fear as their kid gets ready to leave school, right? And to be able to say, you know, let's work together and let's fill that with a party or with a company that you know and you trust. I think there's a lot of reassurance to the family.
Lifescape recently opened what the organization is calling a continuum home. It's a project that's been a few years in the making. 4 women live on one side and 4 men live on the other. Christian is one of them.
Oh, yeah. Really trying to narrow in for each person what it is, and depending on where they're at, it looks different, but lots of finishing up education, going ahead and doing that vocational and employment skills, and then that next piece of how do I become more independent and begin to advocate for myself.
Carrie says her prayers have been answered for her son.
This home, I believe, will will help him gain the confidence that he needs to continue to progress throughout his adult years.
Christian already works at Goodwill, but he's learning other life skills like laundry and cooking. And when his mom looks back on when Christian's autism inflicted severe crisis episodes almost every hour,
they were so violent that it was diminishing his quality of life, and it was for safety reasons as well.
He's now going months without having one, getting closer to being able to move home, closer to family in Rapid City. In Sioux Falls, Vanessa Gomez, Dakota News Now.
All right. Now, the goal isn't for people to stay at the Continuum home long term, just to help them with that transition period to adult services if needed. Delivering May Day baskets on May 1st was once something people all over the country did as a way to celebrate spring. But the Sioux Falls community keeps that tradition alive by delivering baskets to residents at Lifescape. The tradition of May Day baskets dates back centuries, where flowers and other small presents were hung on the doorknobs of friends or loved ones. The celebration isn't as widespread as it was decades ago, but its purpose of spreading joy remains intact.
Not only does this bring joy today and this May Day weekend, but it also lets them know that when we can come out and be active members of the community, that we have lots of friends waiting for us.
Several businesses, including Sell Only, Oh My Cupcakes, and Poppy's Popcorn, helped make and deliver nearly 300 baskets to residents at Lifescape last May, and many of them are set to continue the tradition in just a few weeks from now. You don't have to go to all the trouble of making a basket to help out Lifescape. You can do it by just picking up your phone. And remember, every gift made during this segment is being matched by First Premier Bank Card. So don't wait. Just text the word Dakota to 50155 to empower residents to live their best lives. Well, it takes a lot of people to make Lifescape's goal of empowering people a reality, and one of the leading figures behind all of that joins us now. That's Lifescape CEO Steve Watkins. Very nice to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
One of the things we've mentioned, Lifescape's mission, no small task, obviously. It requires a lot of staff, But Sioux Falls, like the rest of the nation, there's a bit of a hiring problem right now. A lot of businesses need employees. They can't necessarily find them. Is that happening with Lifescape?
We're seeing the exact same thing. You know, the latest numbers published was at 18,000 jobs available in Sioux Falls alone.
Yeah.
So we've had an opportunity to work with the legislature to get some additional funding that allowed us to move our average pay up to about $18 an hour. Well, we're starting at $15 an hour. That obviously has been beneficial in attracting individuals, but the other piece we're playing on is obviously it's a job that requires a mission of the heart.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a specialized individual that might be looking for a job like that. And then just kind of lastly, we're really addressing our culture and really wanting to become a place where people want to work, and you know, trying to mash that all together in not only attracting people, but keeping people.
Yeah, yeah. A couple of minutes ago, we shared a story about the Pathways to Life program that you have. What a program that is. It's just one of the ways, though, that Lifescape helps to empower people as they make that important transition from teenage life to adult life. How vital are programs like this?
Well, it becomes incredibly critical from the perspective of if you think about an individual that's transitioning out, we're one that does help for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities in the state of South Dakota.
Yeah.
They then transition out to a community support provider. We're one of 20 in the state of South Dakota. We become somewhat the feeder for the community support providers. And so from the transition from going from the services that we provide as a young child and then migrating into the world of adulthood, can I work? Where can I work? Who can support me? How can I live my best life? Those kinds of things. That's a critical piece of what happens in that transition for these young people.
Housing shortage, another problem also affecting South Dakota and the region, also affecting Lifescape, I would imagine. Do you have a specific plan to address that? Is that something that you can address?
Well, particularly for the adults that we support in our residential services, we put together a 5-year strategic plan. It's basically building one home every year, and that home would support 8 individuals. And we're well on track. We've got our second home just opening up this month. We have 3, 4, and 5 planned for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
We have the land bought. In addition to that, then we're also buying homes that are used homes. And so for certain individuals that have lesser disabilities and things like that, those homes tend to work well. So we've been in the market, and we picked up 1 home this year, and we'll continue to do that as an opportunity to provide those types of housing needs for the people we support.
We've been asking people for donations during this special. We know a lot of people are already stepping up, and we thank you for that. Where would Lifescape be if not for the generous spirit of this community?
It is amazing how generous this community is. Very supportive of all the work that we do in supporting men, women, and children with disabilities. The reality is that the money that is supported here helps defer rent for people. It actually helps pay their food bills in a number of instances. In a lot of instances, allows them to go out and be part of the community, taking in a movie, taking in some of the sports and athletic things, and really giving them a sense of being part of the community. I mean, it's incredibly important. You know, the funding we get from the legislature, as much as it's appreciated, really doesn't cover the cost of the support that's needed. And without that, there would be people that wouldn't have places to stay, wouldn't have food to eat, wouldn't be able to do the things that we kind of take for granted. So incredibly important, but we're so blessed with the community that does support us.
Lifescape CEO Steve Watkins. Steve, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.
Still ahead on this Empowered by Lifescape special, direct support professionals have unique skills that make them invaluable to Lifescape residents. We will take a look at their impact. That's when we come back. And welcome back, everyone. Another amazing partner has stepped up to match your donation to Lifescape. Blue Tide Car Wash is matching your donations for the rest of our program. So please take out your phone now and text the word Dakota to 50155. Your gift is doubled, and remember, 100% will stay local to help adults and kids at Lifescape. Lifescape provides a variety of services for people to empower them to live fulfilling lives. The organization helps people living with disabilities find jobs and housing and provides several different therapy services. Vanessa Gomez explains how staff is helping one man after he received a diagnosis of a chronic disease.
We're going to add an action.
David Eisenhower is preparing for the day he can't speak again.
It's a tough journey.
His wife Brenda said it can be hard to stay positive.
There's some really overwhelming days, but we've got family and support, family and friends that help support us.
Brenda and David also have the support of Lifescape.
Brenda needs help.
David started going to Lifescape in 2019 after he was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease in July of 2018.
At first I didn't know what it was, but then after I found out, it was scary, not knowing what could happen. And
he thought the cramping he was experiencing was carpal tunnel. Then the diagnosis turned to a pinched nerve, which was really ALS. There's no cure for the disease, so right now it's all about staying proactive to preserve David's freedom.
Then I can keep communication open and still have my independence.
Carrie Vermeer, a speech-language pathologist at Lifescape, has been working with David on the Tobii Dynavox communication device. He uses his eyes to look at pictures on the device, which will speak messages for him.
Tornado weather, let's go.
Things could be misinterpreted if they're not saying the right thing through yes or no, so it gives them their voice back.
David hasn't lost his voice yet, but he is preparing for the day.
To tell them what they want to eat, to say I need repositioned, and just to tell somebody they love them.
Good morning, beautiful.
A new way to communicate to help him keep his freedom and never lose his words. In Sioux Falls, Vanessa Gomez, Dakota News Now.
Christmas is a season of joy for many of us, and Lifescape, along with help from the community, works to spread the holiday spirit each year. This last December, Dairy Queens in Sioux Falls, Brookings, and Yankton collected toys from angel trees, then delivered those to Lifescape. These presents go a long way for the nonprofit, as Lifescape had over 2,500 gift requests to fill last year. And while the holidays are usually known as the season of giving, Lifescape needs your help year-round. Remember, Blue Tide Car Wash is still standing ready to match your gift in the little bit of time we have left, so please don't wait. You can make a one-time donation or join the Sustainer Club for $15 a month. Regardless of how you give, Blue Tide Car Wash will match your donation. Just text the word Dakota to 50155 to make your gift. Direct support professionals make it their life's work to help others live their lives, and they are essential in Lifescape's mission. Here's a closer look at what kind of difference they make for residents.
That's nice. Remember, there's four.
There's a lot of firemen, isn't there?
2.
To care day in and day out for those who can't always care for themselves takes not only training and patience, but it also takes the kind of heart not everyone in the world possesses.
She actually lives here, so she's in the residential program and she gets her schooling.
Vicki Meener's 17-year-old daughter Lydia is in Lifescape's residential program. She learns here while she lives here. Vicki says Lydia is an introvert, but that something about this program and the people who care for her has been able to turn that around, something Vicki wasn't sure was possible.
So I think having her here and around a lot of different people, other children, other adults, I think has been very good for her.
They want to make sure that their son or daughter is safe and then also has a life that matters.
Lifescape CEO Steve Watkins says their direct support professionals are more than workers at a job. They're professionals whose work becomes personal.
They gave you some stickers.
Awesome.
They truly become part of the family that supports that individual.
You're not the most patient person, but you're doing a good job.
7 years ago, Angela Palmer brought her son Levi to Lifescape. He was just shy of 5 years old. He was hurting himself 100 times a day. School was more of a chance to give Angela a break instead of an opportunity for Levi to learn.
You're such a big boy.
Well, now, Levi's in school at Lifescape, and there has been a dramatic drop in the self-harm Levi has been doing to himself.
They try everything they can to support our son to be the best he can and to support the family so we can better support him.
If the adage that you get through life by having faith, hope, and love needs to be tested, it is here at Lifescape. Families have faith the people who work here can help their child. They hope that progress will lead to a better life. All of it bound together by the hearts of these direct support professionals who know what it is to love a child under trying circumstances every day.
Say bye.
You've met some inspiring children and adults during the last 30 minutes. They are your neighbors, your friends. Lifescape's mission is to empower people to live their best life. You can empower them too by making a donation. There is still time. Just text the word Dakota to 50155. Salmon's Financial, First Premier Bank, and Premier Bank Card and Blue Tide Car Wash are all ready to match your gift. This drive runs through April 16th, but don't put it off. And thank you for your gifts.